the desert of the real.
This is our first mailbag episode. We are going to read and respond to an email that we got. And if you want to email us, desertoftherealpod@gmail.com, and we will try to get to these. Anyway, here's the email. This email comes from a former student of Dr. Dietz's.
Yes.
And he said, so first things first, I know that the most recent Infinity War episode, a movie that I'm not on either side of loving or hating really, I was thinking about how Dr. Dietz has I love how he calls you Dr. Dietz, because you don't make your students call you Dr. Dietz, but they should. And I try to get them to do it.
They shouldn't.
How Dr. Dietz has a problem with how the Infinity Stones work. He talks about how in science fiction you shouldn't have things that just work or happen. They have to be explainable. Well, I have two major movies that are considered science fiction that I would like some input from Dietz on. Okay, first of all, you have Star Wars. What's the Force? How does it work? People are just born with it, right? It surrounds everything or whatever. But we never get a real explanation on what that's all about. I mean, even its powers are incredibly vague, but most viewers just accept it. I'm curious what Dietz would have to say about that, or even if he would just consider Star Wars fantasy anyway.
Star Wars is not a science fiction movie. The end. I'll give it more than that. So science fiction has to, in order for it to qualify as a science fiction, it has to be based in science. There's very little in Star Wars that's based in science. And so, especially the Force, that is a fantasy element. It is, I would call it magic, which, since that's the main driving force behind Star Wars, I would call it a science fantasy movie.
The other example this is student again. The other example that I'm really curious about is one of my favorite sci-fi movies, 2001: A Space Odyssey. This is one of the most famous and acclaimed science fiction movies ever, and it even has an aspect of just happens in the form of the monoliths. I mean, one of the biggest things about the monoliths is that they just show up and involve us, and we have no clue how or why they do this. So what would Dr. Dietz have to say about this? Does he think that they are different from the Infinity Stones and just show up and are powerful and we don't know why or really where they came from? If the Force monoliths and Infinity Stones are different, then why? Why can Dietz accept some while not accepting others? If he even accepts all three at all, it just happens like an unfair critique in my mind, since other science fiction movies have the factor. And Marvel also already feels a lot more fantasy than the other two examples. Great question, former student.
Is a great question. I'm glad that you asked it because it illustrates your ability to think critically about the stuff going on around you. 2001 is a fair critique. The monoliths do just kind of show up. However, they are not just pooped out by the universe. Having read the books that 2001 is based on, it is heavily implied that this is alien technology. And so Arthur C. Clarke, the guy that wrote 2001, has a famous quote that says, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." And so what we have in 2001 is just incredibly advanced technology in the forms of the monolith. And so while we don't, in the scope of the film, understand where they came from, they don't just happen. They're created. What?
This guy.
What?
That's how the Infinity Stones are.
No, the Infinity Stones. Oh, are they? Somebody made them? Oh, well, what we've got so far from the Infinity Stones is the universe pooped them out. The end.
This reminds me of, you were talking about Thanos's, what his motivation was in the last episode. Uh-huh. And you mentioned that it makes no sense. And you are right. Because in the comic books, his motivation is he is in love with death.
Yeah.
And so that's why he wants to kill half of the world, as her. But then the writers tried to retcon that into something that was more logical or more based in the MCU.
Right, which was a terrible choice on their part. So apparently there's some actual, reason why the Infinity Stones exist that I'm not aware of.
Your explanation of the monolith in my brain matches the explanation of the Infinity Stones.
Not the one that we've been given in the movies. Right? Am I wrong?
But that contradicts what you just said. You said that you can accept the monolith because you understand the explanation from the book. And so if you understand the comic books a little bit better, it's easier to accept.
Okay, but I don't have that.
Right.
All I have is the film. So yeah,
So what Ryan's saying is that essentially the monolith and the Infinity Stones are exactly the same.
I just accept one because I know the.
Because you're our most beloved. No, the most lovable.
The world's most lovable sourpuss.
Okay, but in the case of the monoliths, I know the background. I know what the stuff. In the case of the Infinity Stones, all I have is what the movies have given us. And literally the only explanation I remember is there's a little scene somewhere that in the beginning of the universe was created and these stones got pooped out. And that's all I know. Admittedly, if I had a lot more background and understood that they were created by something or someone, I would be in a different position. So, yes. I will plead ignorance in the case of the Infinity Stones. I don't know where they came from other than, that they just said.
Would you like to find it?
No, not at all.
That's fine.
Okay, the rest.
Do the movies tell us?
Kind of.
Okay, then I'll leave it because part of anyhow. Yes.
They talk about eternal beings that
okay, then when we get to that point,
cut me
this
out
is a bonus episode.
I'm not part of.
Oh, I'm bringing you into it now.
Just going back to the Infinity Stones, they already have. So in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Collector explains that the eternal beings, which are Eternals created by Jack Kirby, they molded the existing elements of reality supposedly before the Big Bang and took that material and condensed them into inked stones.
Oh.
So there are beings outside of our comprehension that created these stones.
Where was that?
It was when the Collector is talking to the Guardians about what they brought him.
Oh, I must have missed that or didn't register. Why didn't you say that? Okay, so perhaps I need to retract all of what I said about the Infinity Stones then, because apparently I somehow missed a key moment in Guardians. So I apologize. I may have to retract. I'll go back and watch it.
Okay. So in this special episode, obviously Donald is still here. The student asks us about our favorite movies. But Donald's here. I want to hear some of his favorite movies as well.
Okay, because my student was...
He's talking to him.
Yeah, he literally says, I'm curious. Sorry, Mr. Hudson. In parentheses.
So,
you have a pre-made list.
Well, I made it in my email response that apparently did not get sent to my students. Either. So my top 10, probably my favorite movie of all time is called What About Bob? I've watched that movie, I don't even know, probably 3 or 4 dozen times, and I still love it. It still makes me laugh. Then Inception is probably my second favorite movie ever, for obvious reasons, especially this particular student should already know that. Also The Matrix, not because it's like a groundbreaking movie, which it was, but just because that was the first movie for me that literally like sledgehammered me out of my view of reality. So in film, The Matrix is the movie that started my journey to becoming a critical thinker. So I love it. Monty Python and the Holy Grail is in my top 10. Memento, which I've already mentioned. Children of Men. District 9. Those are all like heavy, weighty, meaty films. To round it out, I have a couple of favorite horror movies. Get Out, Silence of the Lambs, I See You, which we have podcasted on. And then The Taking of Deborah Logan is my number 10 because it freaking scared the crap out of me. And that takes a lot.
Well, we were going to do an episode about it, but you didn't feel good about doing it.
Yes.
We can still do it. I mean,
Maybe
it's a podcast.
You
We
know,
can do whatever we want.
I would just say if you're gonna watch The Taking of Deborah Logan, not to offend the people who are purists at this table, which is everyone but me, you should definitely watch it edited because I am certain that there are things in that movie that you will never be able to unsee. That I haven't seen, but they are heavily implied, and I'm sure they're shown in the film. So that's my top 10.
All right, here's a top 10. I don't know if there's ever going to be a solid top 10 forever for me.
Well, that
goes without saying, you say?
Well, right.
All right, so I'm trying to also diversify genres and categories and stuff. So, but I want to say, because it's more unique, Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong is just a movie I know is imperfect, but I love personally. You know what I mean? There are things I wish were better, but that movie just represents creativity, adventure. I think it's really good. And if you don't like it, I get that.
No, I like it. Other than Jack Black being in it. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay, here's one that I didn't watch until recently. 1948's Bicycle Thieves, an Italian movie about a man just struggling to make ends meet in the Depression, and I found it deeply personal. It touched me to my core. Wow. I'll always say Lawrence of Arabia is probably the best movie ever made.
It's possible.
It's so good. All right, what else do we have here? Let's get a cartoon in there. I think there's a lot to choose from. And I've always said Up is one of my favorite Pixar movies. I love Up. I saw Up with Donald in theaters when we were in high school. Cute. Yeah.
My wife and I have shirts. My shirt says her Carl, and her shirt says his Ellie. I love Up.
Watching a movie with Ryan is one of the most wonderful experiences in the world. Every movie I've watched with Ryan holds a special place in my heart. 2 of those are genuinely great movies, and the other 2 aren't that great. But Ryan is the best comedy audience because he's got a great laugh and he laughs at everything, and it just enhances the experience.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I don't make people call me Dr. Deeds. Okay.
All right, so I think Mad Max Fury Road.
That's a very good movie.
I love so much. I don't know.
I just bought it, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Go see Furiosa.
I will when it's
Yeah. There's also classics. You gotta have Jaws in there, right? It's a movie my dad loves, and it reminds me of watching movies with my dad type of thing.
That's a good reason.
Oh, I don't know. There are also movies I consider perfect films, but they're these are classic movies everyone's seen, Back to the Future. It's hard to beat. Everything in that movie is just perfect.
Yeah,
Thinking of movies now, Princess Bride, a movie that I'll always love and everyone should see.
I agree. Although we should read the book.
Yeah, book is good. I did read that one in the class. I spark noted everything.
You spark noted the Princess. Okay, good, because that's a masterpiece of a book.
All right, let's get a little bit different here. There's a movie called Portrait of a Lady on Fire, one of the most beautiful movies I think exists.
So this is
Was
what
that 10?
happens when my students don't read the assignment sheet. This is what I get turned in.
You know what? Here, to encompass more than just the movie itself, we'll say Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, because all 3 of those are mwah. Because I don't want to do another Pixar, but I love Soul. I love Coco. I don't want to. Have we done a Wes Anderson? I don't know. Whatever. I'll do the Prestige. That's my Nolan movie. The Prestige is so good. If you want to get
Actually,
really up the beaten path, I might get in trouble. Never mind. I won't recommend a movie that I. Never mind. There's I don't know how many that was.
A lot. It was good.
I've got my list. I'm sure I would change this if I had more time, but just off the top of my head, number one, kind of my whole life has been Forrest Gump. It's just a really wonderful movie. Number two's Up. I shared that with Ryan. Ghostbusters has always been a favorite.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life I consider to be the perfect movie.
That you're not wrong.
Hunt for the Wilder People has always been one of my favorites. And there's a Bollywood movie called Three Idiots that I think everyone should watch. It's really good. It's really long because it's Bollywood, but gorgeous movie. My Neighbor Totoro. I know I'm mispronouncing that, but I think that is the masterclass in what children's media should be.
Yeah, and speaking of, not to interrupt, but like, I have two daughters. That movie was about two girls. When I watched that last with them, I was like, I also found that deeply personal too. Just anyway.
Napoleon Dynamite. Adore that movie for so many reasons. Spider-Man 2. And then there's a Japanese movie about bullying called A Silent Voice, which I think is the best movie about that issue that I've ever seen.
That's
Is
awesome.
that second one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great
I will
list.
add it. That is a good list. Your list was also great, Ryan.
Yeah, I was trying to be
So
different.
Three Idiots is about the education stigma in India.
Cool.
And it deals with...
I will definitely watch
So
that.
So it's technically not Bollywood, but it's from India. Did you see RRR? You should watch RRR. It's on Netflix.
Okay. Is it the letter?
Huh?
Is it A-R-E?
It's three R's. RRR.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, it's a dog movie or something.
No, there's a movie called RRR, which is... It's actually, compared to these action movies we're talking about, like, India's just being so creative with its action and visuals. It's like, how come we're...
I've heard Hit Monkey was really good, and that was a passion project.
And that one's coming out...
Not Hit Monkey.
Monkey Man.
Monkey Man.
That one's coming
Hit
out
Monkey's
on,
different.
this week, so I'll be watching that soon.
Peels.
He produced it, yeah.
Yeah.
Dev Patel directed, first-time director. The student says... First and foremost, I just really want to know if Dr. Dietz has seen 12 Angry Men, because I watched it a few months back and loved it. Just thought about Dietz because it's a movie that's essentially about quality rhetoric versus rhetorical fallacies. If Dietz hasn't seen this movie, I implore him to watch it because I think he would get a deep appreciation for nearly everything that happens in it. Also, if you do take this suggestion, make sure to watch the 1957 version. I've never seen the 90s one.
I didn't even know there was a 90s.
Yeah, there's a one in color and stuff.
Okay, well, that's dumb.
I meant to ask Dietz this question at graduation. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Just because he has such contempt for superhero movies in general.
Wait. I gotta answer the 12 Angry Men one. Right?
Sure. We already did.
Damn.
Man, speak!
Yes, I have seen 12 Angry Men. I love 12 Angry Men. It used to be in my top 10 list, actually. It's a fantastic illustration of like just how important and essential critical thinking is in real life, because that kid would have, he would have been executed without critical thinking, without one aunt being willing to say, no, we're not just going to go with the crowd. We need to stop and think critically about what's going on. Yeah, I love 12 Angry Men.
No, that's good. That's how I like thinking of a top 10, like even older movies. Like, how can you ignore a movie like that, or even like Wizard of Oz? Like, just there's so many movies in the past, like from the 50s, that we should still be watching. And
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I think everyone should watch.
That's a great one. That one's also that's like a lighthearted one. 12 Angry Men's like a drama, but
it's just the idea of one aunt, one person, with a strong moral compass, being unwilling to back down. I like that.
Big
fan of 12 Angry Men.
okay, just because Dietz has had such contempt for superhero movies in general, I'm wondering if Dr. Dietz has ever seen The Dark Knight. I'm just seeing if there are superhero movies that Dietz likes, really.
Yes, I love The Dark Knight. I think it's a magnificent film.
You never saw Dark Knight Rises?
I've seen the one with Scarecrow and the one with Joker, and then I stopped because I don't see... I think The Dark Knight is a perfect film.
Yeah, no.
I think it's perfect. And so I don't see how any movie coming after The Dark Knight could improve on it. And so I don't want to see it because it's going to, it will drag down.
Maybe we should watch it for this podcast.
I don't know. But I think The Dark Knight, I think it's a perfect movie. In fairness, Christian Bale is by light years my favorite living actor. And I've never seen a movie with Christian Bale in it that I didn't absolutely love. And I don't want to watch whatever the one is after The Dark Knight because I'm afraid it would be that one that I don't love.
Okay, but you have to trust Nolan that he had a beginning, middle, and end trilogy planned. Plus you have Bane.
I don't know. I
know you're saying no.
Anyhow, so yes, I have seen The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight. I think it's a perfect movie. Other superhero movies I like the the Doc Ock Spider-Man one.
Movie.
Okay,
that was on Donald's list.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man 2. I loved that
Still
one.
in contention for best superhero.
I really like. Well, we're gonna get to. I guess another thing in your email is about the Spider-Verse movies. I love those absolutely, but for a different reason. I don't think they're perfect, but I love them because they are doing things that no other movie has ever done. And anytime a movie does that, I'm gonna be in because if you think back to the very start of this podcast. My main complaint with the Marvel movies is that they were all the same movie over and over and over and over. The Spider-Verse movies are not the same movie. They are breaking new ground almost with every scene. So yeah, I love those.
If we watched the Marvel in chronological order, it would have been Captain America first and then Captain Marvel second.
Right.
What do you think that would have done? Would you have felt the same way?
I don't know, but I realized, 2/3 through that this is it. So it would be Captain America first.
Because that's in World War II.
Oh, because I realized about halfway through this that this. Yeah, Captain Marvel happened way, way before everything else. I don't know. Most of the people that I talk to about this podcast wonder why we're watching them in release order.
I think that's the way to watch them.
They always say, why on earth would you watch them in release order? Why wouldn't you watch them chronologically? So you get
because those people aren't right.
Okay, well, I don't know one way or the other, but
it's like Star Wars.
No,
you can't start Star Wars with Episode 1. You got to start with 4.
Yeah, if you're watching Star Wars for the first time, I am an adamant defender. You watch them in release order. If you've seen them all, watch them whatever order you want.
Okay.
But you're watching these for the first time, we got to watch them the order that they showed us.
Okay, that's fair. And then to finish the response to. I hate all superhero. I don't hate all superhero movies. I only don't like the superhero movies and the action movies that don't obey their own internal rules. Those are stupid. I think they should not be made. So the best example, recent example, I watched just recently a movie called The Gray Man, which illustrates basically everything that I hate about action movies. It was just completely absurd. Everything in that movie was absurd and stupid, and they wanted us to take it seriously. I don't see how anybody.
No, they didn't want you to take
I
it
think they
seriously.
did, because if they didn't want us to take it seriously, they would have made The Bullet Train, which I think is a magnificent movie. Gray Man sucks. I hate it. But I love you. Thanks for the email.
Yeah, thanks for sending us an email.
Jason, on the superhero movie train, have you seen the Glass universe? Have you seen those movies? Unbreakable,
Oh, yes.
Broken. Okay.
Yeah, yes. Those are great.
I love all of
you
them.
saw
Yeah.
Glass?
Yeah, I watched Glass.
Glass is literally a critique on superhero movies.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love those movies. Although Unbreakable kind of left me with sick to my stomach the first time I watched it.
Unbreakable or Split.
Unbreakable.
Okay,
Because I was like,
Split's hard for me to watch.
he's just killing these people. Just yeah. Anyhow, but yeah,
But that's a real
so
villain. And
are
that
those?
stuff happens.
Yeah. So those count as superhero movies? Oh, okay. Well then, yeah. Unbreakable, Split,
A comic book movie to be
Glass. I didn't care for Glass as much as the other two.
Right.
Um,
I
Glass was
agree.
But I loved Split more than Unbreakable. You liked Unbreakable more than Split.
Yeah.
I probably because I have a background, like my bachelor's degree is in psychology, and so Split was fascinating for me.
I think Split's a better movie,
Yeah.
but the content matters. It's hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
when Split shows Bruce Willis, I might have been, I don't know anyone else, but I was like, oh, but no one else made an audible gasp. It was like,
Wait. Oh, right.
It's
Like
like-
at the very, very
it's like,
end.
this is connected to that one?
Yeah.
But the reason Glass isn't good is because the studio was forcing that to make, because Avengers forced the straw-headed producers to think that shared universes where the money was.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Glass was their attempt at making a broader universe that it didn't take off.
Yeah,
It was
that
the same
wasn't
problem
very-
with Universal's Monster Universe.
The thing with
and-
Glass, though, I think he wants it to be like, you want this type of movie, but that's not what this is gonna be. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
kind
mean,
of
I enjoyed watching Glass,
Yeah,
but
me
it
too.
was not.
that came out this year. I remember
was
seeing
not
it
Split.
in the
I-
same theaters.
I purchased Glass and I've just never watched it.
You should watch it.
It's
Well, like I've seen it before.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I'm just saying that if I wanted to like it enough to like revisit it, but
Yeah, I didn't.
I don't think it's that good.
yeah.
Oh,
I've
so-
watched Split 7 or 8 times, I think.
Okay, so
But
It's so
it's so
good.
good. My wife and I talked about that yesterday. Just it's
Like
the
the-
philosophy
yeah,
of that movie
yes.
is incredible
And the
and,
like that.
and debatable too.
Yeah, yeah. Like that last scene where she shoots him with this, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Where she shoots him with a shotgun, like that whole, where he reveals his philosophy and rejoice. Anyhow, sorry.
James McAvoy is so good.
Rejoice.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, holding.
No one on the planet is defending the Gray Man.
Oh,
no one likes this movie. No one's coming up to bat for the Gray Man.
you told me to watch it.
I
You did. You
did.
said
I.
you said you should watch this because you'll hate it or something like that.
Well, then why'd you watch it?
Because I hate it.
Okay.
I like watching movies that I hate.
No. Oh,
I get
then you're welcome.
to rant about.
Exactly. You're welcome. So, critics didn't like it. I don't know if fans liked it, but I don't know. Gray Man. You have to
It was
compartmentalize
garbage.
different
It was so
movies.
bad.
This movie is like not Citizen Kane, you know, that type of thing. This movie's not going to be better than like The Bourne
even
Ultimatum.
Tom and Jerry, the movie.
I think
terrible.
it's fun though.
No.
It's a fun time. Did you know this is who
Third
directed it?
garbage. I don't care.
The Russo Bros.
Really?
Yes, and I think that's why a lot of people hate it. It's because people have now content for
Yeah, they're expecting awesome and they got
yeah,
Gray Man.
they got that, and I think that's part of it.
Like there's so many famous people in that movie, and I'm like,
I'm not saying
what
it's
are
a
you
good
guys
movie.
doing there? Why did
It's-
you agree to this?
It's a fun time.
No. So don't watch The Gray
Yeah,
Man,
don't watch-
former student of mine.
Apparently, I told Dietz to watch it
Don't
to
watch it.
hate it. Apparently, I don't remember, but you're welcome because you do.
So if you want to, yeah. And all the later, like, I could give you hundreds of movie lists of why I hate action movies.
Oh, and if you want that list,
Subscribe.
Pay $5.
Join our Patreon.
Someday we'll have a Patreon. So, just saying that thank you so much for your email. I miss being able to interact with you guys, specifically you, on a day-to-day basis, and interact and exchange ideas. So it was really cool to get an email from you. Hopefully our response to your email was to your satisfaction. To all other listeners, we would love to hear from you. Anyhow, I love you. Email us. Peace.